Hey guys, I'm with you as always, Deni. The other day, besides Starfield, a whole bunch of very entertaining projects were released on Steam and EGS. Most of them are different indies, but not all of them. Anyway, I've collected here all the most interesting things for you, which are definitely worth trying. That's it, the initial blah 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 is over. Click on the like, click on subscribe if you haven't already, and let's go. Do you miss adrenaline and dynamic gameplay? The perfect place to get it all? Good old Crossout. Tense battles, dozens of different vehicles, and hundreds of parts for their customization are waiting for you. You can make a powerful, bulletproof tank and destroy your enemies just by the look of it. Or make something smaller, but fast, and get in the back of unsuspecting enemies. In any case, Crossout is the best place to show everyone who is a real pro. Download the game at the link in the description. Let's start with something bigger. Before you, a horror and, as you can see, quite beautiful graphics. In the game, we are embodied in the role of a German soldier, embroiled in the horrors of the First World War. Memories of home and family are replaced by nightmares experienced at the front in the trenches. The main goal is to overcome the constant suffering and return to a peaceful life. The plot is presented as a dream. We wake up in our room, which is empty and dilapidated, and then find ourselves at the front, where scary monsters and the horrors of war do not give rest. Plus, in order to survive, you'll have to deal with every monster you encounter, solve puzzles, and fight the dangers that can appear at every turn. And again, all this with cool graphics. Also, here the other day came out Dune, a strategy game that allows us to lead one of the factions and fight for control of the desert planet Arrakis. Spice, the most valuable resource, can be extracted only here, so there is a strong desire to dominate the planet. And we have to fight not only with other factions, but also with destructive storms and giant sandworms, which can devour soldiers and combines, and in general everything. The game can be played through a variety of strategies. Political intrigue, combat, economic pressure, and espionage. Leading characters from Dune are also present in the game, which adds a plus to the piggy bank. All in all, not bad. Really not bad. We have to wait for the MMO to be released on Dune, but it won't be soon, so content with this game for now. And this is something not standard at all, that we haven't seen yet. It's an action dating simulator in an apocalyptic world where we have to save the world and find love. The game combines battles with the infected and dating 5 unique characters. Mankind has been turned into monsters. All they want to do now is eat. But the main character fights not only for himself, but also for those he loves, and there is someone to love. In addition to fighting, you will have to explore dungeons in search of resources, and make love with as many as 5 unique characters. Each of them has its own story, the opening of which allows you to get unique skills and spells, relationships and survival, kind of like the life of a student anime lover who just moved out from his parents. But overall, funny, and doesn't look bad. Well, about Mortal Kombat 1, I think we will not reveal much details. Fighting, as always, with a little more colorful graphics than we are usually used to. It's not badly made, as always. The only thing worth mentioning is that for the first time, Mortal Kombat is about story. No, there was a plot before, but here it is adequate for the first time. I would even say extremely interesting. It's interesting to follow it, and taking into account the fact that it's all mixed with fights, it's really cool. All in all, everything is great here. Oh, and this is that legendary series of games, which you should definitely play if you have one friend and you don't know what to play. It's a whole set of masterpieces. We Were Here offers us to test our friendship and teamwork skills by solving puzzles. Here we are, sent to help after receiving a strange signal from a ship. We get into an abandoned amusement park, where we have to solve complex problems together. By the way, there is cross-platform, so you can even play from different platforms. In general, the main quest is not to quarrel and solve all the puzzles, but it will be difficult. Here is a medieval MMO strategy, where we can feel what variety in strategies is. In the game, you will find a lot of activities such as farming, battles, resource management, and ruling. There is a set of different NPCs, farmers, hunters, and warriors. Naturally, you will have to use them, if I may say so, to prove to other players that your village is the strongest. Prove, as a rule, we'll have to force. And we can defend our territories or even go on a conquest. Plus, the game was equipped with blockchain a little, so that purely theoretically, you can play the game and earn money, and all this with pretty good graphics. I think it looks interesting.
'Cause so many time passed by.
The theme of Vampire Survivors does not let the developers go, and they try to make something perfect in this genre. Surprisingly, they create more and more interesting projects every time, like this one for example. As always, the important thing in such games is movement. Here you can feel the phrase, movement is life. So run, and along the way, collect your build. Collect weapons and accessories, and strategically place them in your inventory to survive. Inventory space is limited, so before you put a new item in there, think about its strengths and weaknesses, and how it will affect your overall strategy. Plus, it's all with minimalistic but straight up enjoyable graphene. Not bad. Also, the sequel to Deceit came out the other day, where you, along with your friends, try to determine who is the monster and shoot him, or try to escape. It's basically a social-deductive horror game where players need to escape, with two of the team being possessed by an evil foresee and hiding their true good in order to perform a ritual and sacrifice players to the Game Master. As before, you need to band together to separate allies from enemies, and naturally, no one can be completely trusted. Plus, a specialty tool merchant has appeared. Infected can manipulate the ritual zone and flip reality, as well as pursue and destroy ordinary survivors. Naturally, who you will be is determined by random, so it's as luck would have it. Well, Deceit that the first and the second, both with good, nice graphics, so you can try it. If you're a fan of all kinds of graphic stuff, you're in luck. Chants of Sennar is out, with its own unique style. Legend has it that in ancient times, the peoples of the tower were divided and no longer understood each other. However, there is a legend of a traveler who will be able to restore balance and break down the barriers. The game opens before us a mysterious world inspired by the story of the Tower of Babel. You will have to explore it, find secrets, and solve its riddles. An endless number of halls of a giant labyrinth awaits you, in which you can discover the terrible truth about this world and the tower. It is important to remember that ancient languages can be both a key and a lock, so deciphering them plays an important role. Overall puzzles, story, beautiful adventure, and unusual style. I suggest a little relaxation and do not break your head over complex puzzles. Do not sweat in fights and just play in some sandbox, and that's where Plasma fits perfectly. It's a creative engineering playground where you can create any device imaginable. Build robots, factories, arcade machines, giant spiders, entire game worlds, and things that don't have a name yet, and then share them with the community. Naturally, Steam Workshop has been bolted into the game, so you can easily check out other players' worlds and invite your friends to yours. It's a really cool thing. As in any roguelike, we race through procedurally generated levels, fight different creatures, and participate in various events that can make us stronger or suddenly weaker. To defeat terrible creatures, you must learn to use the power of Wakfu, natural energy, and as in any roguelike, we can collect and improve cards to create combos and expand our deck. The combat system is turn-based, but the depth of development is not bad. All in all, this one is not bad. Homeseek before you, in which we will lead a group of survivors in a post-apocalyptic world. In terms of gameplay, it is a strategy game with a focus on survival. The local world is Kana, and our main task is to find a home for our charges, where they can start a new life. However, this is not an easy task, especially in the arid desert where water costs like gold. It is important to build a settlement carefully so as not to deplete the resources in advance, and so you can increase the scientific scientific and technical knowledge of the settlers to maximize the use of all that is left on the land. There will be expeditions and quests, and we will even face dilemmas of how to act in this or that situation. Each decision made will have its own consequences. All this with good graphics and very much reminds Frostpunk, but only instead of winter we have a desert. It's been a long time since something interesting interactive movie was released, and today, one has just arrived. And the movie here is literally a movie, a filmed game, but the election is naturally for us to make. The negligent father tries to save his teenage daughter from representatives of a religious cult, who are going to hold a ceremony on the last night of the hotel, Island of Tides, how to get there, what to say and do there, how to find his daughter in general. Questions abound, and all this will have to be solved right along the passage. And here too, all your decisions will have long-lasting consequences. And lastly, I'll tell you more about Remedium. It is a grim and dynamic twin-stick shooter in the post-apocalyptic world of the Renaissance. More than 100 years ago, the world was struck by a terrible plague that turns people into mutants. A few survived and live in closed cities. You are one of them, but one dick. You contracted the plague during a foray outside the city walls. Your only hope is to make your way into the heart of the infected lands and find a cure for the plague. The disease continues to progress, and you must deal with its symptoms to stay healthy. You must master the art of alchemy to create medicines and drugs that improve your abilities. Plus, you also need to fight a lot because sickness is far from the only thing you can fall back on here. It's beautiful, dynamic, and looks interesting to me.